recognizing a quorum, I am calling this meeting of the Cannabis Control Commission to order at 1:05 p.m. on October 18, 2018. Can I ask, can everybody in the back hear me? Thanks. Is anybody recording this meeting? Let me put the public on notice that this meeting is being recorded. And ask everybody to put their cell phones on silent or shut them off. Thank you. It's a big group today. Why everybody's here. We have a pretty big agenda, so I just want to make a couple of logistical comments and we'll dive right into it. After my comments, we'll have our standard executive director report, including an update on staffing and our summary statistics on license applications. We have two sets of license applications that the staff has a recommendation that they will present and we will discuss and vote on. 2 final licenses and 8, if I'm correct, provisional license applications. And so let me start by just thanking the staff. That's a ton of work that you've done the last 2 weeks. So thank you for that. And unfortunately, I don't think there's going to be much let up in the next few months. So anyway, thank you very much for the work on that. I do want to mention that with respect to the final license applications, there is a chance that we will go into executive session based upon questions that might come up from the commissioners. If we do, and this, I want to apologize to everybody in the audience, if we do go into executive session, we're going to stay here, but we're going to have to clear the room. There's no place else for us to go. We are not adjourning from executive session. We will come back into an open session. So if we do go into executive session, we're going to need to ask people to leave the room. I don't know if that's going to happen or not, but that's the only way we can handle the logistics if that happens. There are 4 topics that we need to have commission discussion and potential votes on. I think there are 2 contracts. There are 2 sets of contracts. One is for the social equity program, the RFPs that we received and evaluated, and the second is for agent badging. So we'll review those. If you recall, at our last meeting 2 weeks ago, we talked about social consumption. We asked the executive director to go back and compile a list of the questions that we wanted further evaluation on and to come back with a proposed timeline to evaluate those questions. So we'll talk about that as well as the notion of doing a pilot around social consumption. We have had an issue that's been raised many times that we wanted to just put on the table and discuss and vote on, which is can and how economic empowerment priority applicants can that be transferred to a third party. And so our general counsel has done some work on that. We'll talk about that. And then again, similar to social consumption last time, we agreed when we deferred licensing delivery in March with our final regulations, we agreed that we would come back and revisit that topic. In October, we asked the staff to do some research around what's going on in other states, and including actually the Department of Public Health allows for home delivery in Massachusetts, so to try to get a sense of how other states and jurisdictions were approaching that, and to also help us understand any applicable research that was available. So the staff has done that and will present their findings, and we'll talk about next steps with respect to delivery. That is the agenda. It's a full agenda. We have a backup to have a second meeting sometime early next week. I'm hopeful that we can get through this entire agenda today, but we will have a follow-up meeting if necessary if we don't get through the complete agenda today. So I think that's all I've got in terms of comments, so I'll turn it over to the executive director. I guess the first agenda item is your staffing report. Mr. Executive Director.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just a quick update on staffing. I wanted to call the commission's and the public's attention to 2 postings that are currently on our website. The first is for the position of licensing analyst, which the commission approved just a few weeks ago. That position closes on October 24th, which is a Wednesday. And then just this week, we posted the position of an executive assistant to continue supporting the administrative 30th of October. So certainly want to call everyone's attention to that. Obviously, encourage everybody to. Okay, so the traditional slide identifies that there's the licensing and application activity in the portal, the Mass Cannabis Industry portal. You'll see that there are 3,280 total applications. Again, as a reminder, that is an application that is somewhere in the queue and in some way pending, but not necessarily submitted to the commission. There are 749 that are pending with at least one packet having been submitted 227 have been withdrawn, 2,001 remain incomplete. To date, the commission has issued 45 provisional licenses, and also to date, there have been 258 approved agent applications. The breakdown of those 749 is in the right-hand table, and I'm happy to dig into that if there's any questions.
Any questions? Go ahead, Mr. Secretary.
So the next slide indicates those applications that have had all 4 packets having been submitted to the commission. It does not necessarily indicate that they are complete per se. However, it does develop a queue for us to begin that evaluation for first identifying completeness. That breaks down into 3 independent testing labs, 56 cultivation, 4 microbusiness, 43 product manufacturer, 4 research facility, 55 retail, 1 third-party transportation, and 2 transportation with an existing establishment license. That is a difference of 15 from the last commission meeting 2 weeks ago, which is, for our purpose, a pretty steady state. We're seeing anywhere between 10 to 20, and 15 is right on par with that. Those 168 break down into 87 with existing RMD priority, 3 with economic empowerment priority, and 78 general applications. And those 168 applications represent 86 separate and distinct entities.
Other questions? Okay, go ahead.
So this is a new slide for the commission's consideration. There's been some discussion about identifying the status that is represented to the commission as far as the disadvantaged business enterprise. This is a slide that, from an explanation standpoint, is what is disclosed to us in the application. So it's not as if we're verifying the status, it's what is self-disclosed. You see both the breakdown of the total volume. This is the 168 that have submitted all 4 packets, and again, our first review for completeness, and how they break down as far as their status. That number is 6 have identified as women-owned business, 3 have identified as a veteran-owned business, 4 as a minority-owned business, 2 as a lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender-owned business, 0 disability, 11 have identified as 2 or more disadvantaged business enterprise types, and 142 did not identify themselves as that DBE business.
Any other questions on this data? Commissioner Bell?
Thank you for including this information. Just one question. I want to confirm my understanding that when we ask this question, and it's self-reported, that we are asking for certified categories of businesses, so you could potentially be a woman-owned business but not have that certification, right?
That's true.
Other questions? Thank you.
So the next slide here is familiar to the commission, which is the status of those 168 and where they stand as far as our review process. As I've indicated earlier, the first step is to review for completeness. There are 37 in that phase. That does include those 15 applications that have come in within the past 2 weeks. 46 have been deemed to be incomplete or require additional information and notice to that effect have been sent to them. There are 32 that were awaiting a third-party response. As a reminder, those third parties are both the municipality within which the applicant or establishment would reside. The second third party is the background check vendor. We're awaiting both of those responses. There are 32 in that phase. There are 8, as you indicated, Mr. Chairman, before the commission for consideration today, and of course to date there have been 45 applications that have been considered by the commission for provisional status.
Great. Other questions? Okay, thank you. The map.
So the next slide is the map across Massachusetts identified by county and the applications that are pending. Again, the 168 applications that are pending before the commission. From just the commission's edification to the public's, the difference is that there are 6 additional applications in Berkshire County, 2 in Franklin, 2 in Worcester, 2 in Middlesex, 2 in Essex, and 1 in Bristol that comprise of 15 additions from the last publication of this map.
Great. Questions? Commissioner Bryan?
Can you tell us where the highest number of retail applications is?
Offhand, I cannot. It's certainly something we can produce moving forward, though, as far as the.
That's right. Commissioner Bryan, I apologize. I'm embarrassed by not having shut off my phone. So I didn't see.
I asked where the highest number of retail locations are, so we'll look at that information.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Thank you. Nothing undoes, huh?